We were shooting this picture on a very, very low budget. I think the total cost was about $75,000, but we got a lot of free stuff, people sharing profits on things like that. So it would have cost a little bit more than that if you had to pay everybody. But no additional lighting and things like that were not possible under that kind of a budget, and you wouldn't need them anyway. The racetrack was beautifully lit, so we had no problem with that. The only question was balancing the look of scenes that were shot in the studio, which on stage where I usually like to work anyway, balancing, intercutting with the scenes in the actual exteriors of the racetrack. So we had very, very limited lighting, but one thing we really had a lot of fun with was if you see the film, you see there's intercutting shots of the race going on, and then you see a close-up of the driver, and then back to the race. Now, in those days, they used to use a rear projection screen called a process screen, and it was very complicated. You have to go into a studio where the projector shooting that was running the background plate had to be synchronized with the camera running the blah 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 blah. But we discovered that if you used a theatrical projector, a double-bladed projector, gets a little technical, but the bottom line is you didn't need synchronization. It would work just fine. And we tried it by simply taking a camera and shooting on a moviola and reflex camera, Aeroflex, and it was right there. There was nothing, the synchronization was not an issue. So we set up a projector. Well, we photographed the background plates from a car actually in the race with a camera in the back so that you get all this footage of the cars racing around. And then we set up the projector in the cameraman's bedroom, projecting out because you wouldn't hear the noise of the projector because of the wall and so forth. So he projected out through his window onto a material called Eastman Translight. It was called. It was made for projecting pictures through the back so that you would look at it and you'd see that beautiful bright image. We put that right behind. It was just big enough to fit behind the rear window of the car. And then we put the actor in front, lit, and we put one actor after another in there and shot his shots and got it all done in one evening. And would have cost a fortune doing the normal way. So those are kind of some of the things we did that saved money, and the effect turned out great. We put a camera in the back of a car and ran it around with a couple of other cars behind it. If you look carefully, you don't really see a whole lot in the background. They're just a few cars, so it wasn't during an actual race, although I will say that we actually did put a camera in the real race, and somehow that footage got lost. But as it turned out, we didn't need it because you're looking at the actor's face anyway. And so that was, we were real thrilled we were able to accomplish that. And then, of course, it's a beautiful scene where we also have the guy and the girl driving the car through the city, which we actually, photographed the plate at night, just driving through the city with normal traffic behind it. And the actor driving had to look in the mirror to see when the car turned so he could synchronize the steering wheel, that kind of stuff. We had a lot of fun. Pit stop, of course, I edited myself, and we shot 6 weekends in the actual races, and I had ended up with thousands of feet of footage, of course, from 5 cameras, and I took the one in the middle. There's one shot there in the movie. If you really look close, the camera behind me pans over, and you see my head there just for a second with the camera rig on it. Goes by. I took the spot right in the center where the intersection was because we didn't have insurance, and I didn't want anybody else to. Never mind. But then I had to edit all that footage together into the races, and I mean, if in an actual race, when there's a crash, they have to stop the race. They have to get an ambulance to check to make sure the guy's not injured, and then they have to clear the wreckage out of the way and then restart the race. Well, nobody's ever noticed this, but if you watch the film, you see all these cars crashing one after another, and then the next time you go around, the car's not there anymore, and nobody has ever noticed that. I hope I'm not spoiling the movie for anybody. Well, there's pluses and minuses in editing a film yourself, and over time I really had to learn this the hard way, and I edited my own films when there was no budget there to get an editor. But it's a little risky to do that because in your mind, and also as a director too, in your mind you see things as you saw them on the spot sometimes, and it's very hard to see the image the same way that a person from outside sees it. So it's always very, very good to work with an editor, a director together. But in my case, I had to learn from experience that how to get around that. By that, I simply mean that to be able to try to see things the way a spectator will see it, instead of see what you saw when you were shooting it. And so, yeah, it took a lot of work to edit the races, particularly because sometimes there are certain shots that you fall in love with. You want to use this shot, you want to use this shot because it was hard to get or something like that, when in fact it spoils the movie, the timing, the pacing. And so those are all things you just have to learn by experience. Oh, when you're doing a film on this kind of a low budget, and this is true of Spider Baby as well, there's no time for looping. There's no dialogue replacement. You've got to get it right on the spot. The best you can do is if there's a noise, you just have to record that particular line of dialogue over and then cut it into the picture. Yeah, it would have been nice to be able to have pickups, retakes, looping. No, just not possible in that kind of a budget. So you have to be very careful that you get what you want when you're shooting it, because you can't go back. No.